started a company, raised tons of money, went for this, like, we got to make money, we got to go fast. And the whole thing failed, went bankrupt.
What do you think were the pivotal moments?
I tried the ice bath and thought, whoa, this is crazy. We've been to 70 plus bathhouses as a team around the world.
So trying all the things out there.
We'll test anything. We'll test an anger release, a gratitude class, a stand-up comedy night in the sauna.
Where do you take the willpower to do all of that?
Like, I've given up everything else in my life to do this, and it's everyone's like, you're not gonna make it. Like, that's what people are like, oh, are you sure? And so it's just like, from an ego standpoint, like, can do this? I want to see it.
I'm very excited to kick off the new season of Lubo Smith podcast. Today, I'm hosting Robbie Bent from Othership. They operate in mindfulness space, and what they do is truly incredible. They have studios in Toronto and NYC, as well as a digital product to combine the whole journey. And as a big proponent of hot and cold exposure, I truly enjoyed the conversation. They revolutionized the sober social life for thousands of people, and they built insane community with more than 4,000 people knocking on the door before the studio in New York City even opened. They claim to have the coldest ice plunges in North America. It was truly an incredible discussion with Robbie, and I hope you'll enjoy it. The reason why I wanted to have you on podcast is that I feel that it fits very well with my personal passion as well as my professional background, because you are combining physical and digital, and that's what I'm all about. So that's why I was extremely excited to have this conversation.
Amazing. I mean, we want to combine physical and digital, but unfortunately our tech has let us down. So that's why I'm having this conversation.
I know, but like still, even with a little bit of focus, you have made a decent community of people leveraging your digital product, and you are building these amazing studios that we'll dive into. But I wonder, maybe if we go back, where the whole idea of combining the digital element as well as the physical spaces, where did it come from? Because many companies try and they either fail big time on one side or on the other. There's been only few examples that I have noticed where companies actually made it work on both physical and digital fronts. And it seems like you have a solid path on both of these.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I think what's unique is neither of them were meant to be businesses. And so both were passions, which is unique, because I think it's very difficult if you're a large running physical business. What you need to build a digital business is completely different. And so then it's, let's throw money at it. We need to be in digital. Let's focus there. And so for us, we started the physical space in a backyard, and it was just a horse trough with 5 friends. And the goal was to build a healthy community. And so there was no commercial intention. It was just, hey, this is free. Come to my backyard and let's use the ice bath and hang out. And every day people would be hanging out. And it was just word of mouth for the neighborhood. And then as it got colder, we, built out our garage. Like, it literally started, like, wasn't, hey, the business started in a garage. It was a garage. And so it was myself and, my wife and another couple and a best friend. And we were just doing it for fun. And so we had this garage space, and we saw, oh wow, people really fucking love this. Like, they're coming back, they're starting to pay, and like special things were happening. So it was really just following our own curiosity and interest. And so it was physical to start, but it was a side project and a hobby. And we were seeing like these transformative experiences where people were like, wow, I made friends with everyone in the neighborhood. I started dating someone in the neighborhood. Oh my God, like, we started doing these emotional wellness classes. The first one was on Valentine's Day, like I said, told you. And, hey, let's do an eye gaze in the ice plunge, and let's do a self-guided massage, and let's have everyone share their first date. And people are crying and saying, like, that was the best Valentine's Day I've ever had. And so it was obvious there was something there. So we started to explore, like, okay, I think we can build a studio around this, like a large-scale studio with sauna and ice bath emotional classes. And there's 1,000 people using this now in a garage. It seems they want it. And at night, I think we can have social experiences without alcohol. And so that was like the main thrust of the business, and it's still our main focus. I'd say probably 85% of our like resources and time are going towards the physical. Now, the digital came up because during COVID, our customers could no longer come to the space. And so we started just like, again, as a passion, hey, let's do these Saturday breathwork events for people to connect. I'm like, oh, if people are connecting, let's make them like a dance party. And so we'll connect and we'll do like a breathwork dance party vibe. And so we started making mixes and then just guiding live over top of these mixes for breathwork. And so the whole point wasn't to be necessarily spiritual or meditative. It was just to connect a group of people in a fun way, which I think is what led to the app. And it's very different in the way it's music driven. And so, 20 people, 50 people, 100 people, 500 people are joining these Zooms. And so my wife was just like, I think we can do a course. That would be fun. So we recorded a bunch of these things. We had first put them on YouTube. And then she built a course on Kajabi. And so Harry and Amanda created, I think it was a chakra course. They created 7 or 10 like 1-hour sessions, and it was a course. And a couple people bought it. Not many, but a couple. And they started saying like, hey, I want to use this every day. So we added some short ones. And another unique thing, it wasn't really a business. It was just us. Like we loved the breathworks. And so Friday night, we would do it ourselves. Instead of drinking alcohol, people would come over and we would do the breathwork together and we'd pick songs. And, Harry would spend hours like combing through royalty-free music libraries, producing tracks just because it was fun for him. So both the experience of the physical and the digital was stuff that we did out of passion on our own, and we created the content, which I think is really unique. And when you try to use external providers to create the content, it sometimes lacks the authenticity, the soul, the care for the product. And so
been there, done that. Exactly what you are saying. I feel like if you have someone else to do that, and if it's not like part of the core, and the passion is not there, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and also like time, right? So if you're like, oh, we need to build a digital business in 1 year, we need to show a return on investment. Well, for us, we didn't give a shit. So it was just like, hey, we're putting this out. It's fun. Some people are buying it. They like it. Okay, they want more. Let's make more. And there was no cost because we just did it ourselves. We did all the design. We did all the branding. We did all the content. We put it up. We used Kajabi, amazing platform. And as we added more and more, we didn't even do any marketing. So we would just talk about it on some podcasts. We'd get friends to share it. And through influencers and talking about it and sharing, it grew to 100,000 in revenue, which is pretty awesome. And so then people started being like, yo, this platform, like it's not the greatest. Like I want to use it daily. It's only really good on the web. And so we were like, oh, I wonder if we could build an app. Like we've done 100,000 in sales. Like, okay, but again, we didn't want to spend, to build a custom app, $500,000, $1 million. We didn't have that kind of money. So we found this amazing provider, $20,000 upfront for the design, which we did ourselves. And then it's like a rental, like a Calmer Headspace rental. And they had a content player, an onboarding function, the ability to set payments. And so again, it was like, what is the biggest MVP we can do here so that if it's not popular, we don't lose money? And so we launched that in November, still like COVID restrictions just ending. And it was such a passion. We just built, 600, 800 different breathwork sessions. We started to get our guides from the physical spaces involved and friends, and we just did it all ourselves. And so my wife ran that whole thing. She learned about branding, managing an engineering team, how to run an app, how to market an app, how to do paid ads, which we got into later. But yeah, so she pretty much end to end handled the entire app. And then my partners, Harry and Amanda, did all the content. And so the app, it does some good sales. It's profitable, and it's been a really nice marketing channel. So for us, once you have both and they're working, the other really cool thing about the app is just breathwork. It's the highest rated breathwork app in the world right now. And it's just a very
niche. That means
niche,
something.
Yeah, it's just a niche focus. There's 3,000 reviews, and so I think it's had a couple 100,000 downloads, maybe more. And we're really proud of it. And so many people in New York, we go to do our guide training, and 30%, 50 guides apply from the app because they were using the app in New York City. So it turns out it's not just making money, which it is, but it's a free marketing channel. We can give it away. We give it away all the time. We give scholarships. customers come into Toronto, they get free 30 days on it. So it's like a really nice way that people then, you start to see them, they like the physical space. They then get to use the app. We have a deeper connection with them. Or they find out about the app, like, maybe they go to New York, try an experience here. They live in California, then they can download the app when they go home. So there's been a lot of, once they're both working together, it seems like they have a lot of power, especially, for a physical business. It's really hard to do any digital marketing because you only have one location. So like for you to go on a podcast with a physical space, it almost doesn't make sense because people listen all over the US. Podcast hosts don't even want a one unit.
But you have something for everybody, right?
Exactly. So now anyone who's listening to this who's interesting, they can try the app. So I found over time it's been really interesting that we like really, I come from tech background. I've started a company, raised tons of money, went for this, like, we got to make money, we got to go fast, and fucking whole thing failed, went bankrupt. And so now we were really like, let's get the product right. Let's go slow. Let's bootstrap. We self-funded, it was a garage and a course. And I remember telling investors once we decided to raise money that, like, yeah, this is changing people's lives. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, it's a horse trough and a 7 thing on YouTube, like, course. And it's cool. Like, you just keep going and like professionalizing over time.
The mindfulness space overall is very close to me, and I have learned about your app very early on. Tried it, used it, everything. But what really changed my perspective was when I had the chance to visit the studios. By now I have visited all of your studios that are open, both in Toronto and the one that just opened recently here in New York, which I'm proud to be one of the people that visited all of them. No, but it really changed my perspective in terms of how you can leverage the contrast therapy, but how you can also apply a lot of other things to really make it a very impactful class. Because like I've been doing sauna, ice bath for years now, and I love that you are crafting every single class to be something special, to really focus on like you have the uplifting classes, you have the ones that calm you down, and to me that brought something new. Like I've never really experienced that deep level of thinking about what are all the other things and all the other like senses that you can deploy to a group class. And even yesterday when I went for the social, I felt like I had the best sleep in not in my life, but in the past month. Yeah, for sure. Very impactful. As you were talking about the passion, I share the passion very much, but I believe that there was a lot of foundational elements on your side that led to discovering this. And I know that you have gone through quite a lot in your life and your career as well. So what do you think were the pivotal moments that set you on the path to discover this passion of yours?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been to 70 plus bathhouses as a team around the world. Have done, the Hoffman process, Landmark, group therapy, drug rehab, Cocaine Anonymous. Just have been really interested in like not necessarily personal growth, but just trying to like fight my own demons. And so I think, the journey for me started with meditation, Vipassana retreats and psychedelic medicines, and then getting sober. And when I got sober, I met my wife, and she was really into health and wellness. And so one of the pivotal moments was our first date. She said, "Hey, I heard about ice baths on, Rhonda Patrick, who was one of the first people to be talking about this stuff like 8 years ago. Like nobody, Andrew Huberman wasn't a person with the podcast. It
Right.
was like Rhonda Patrick was like the health and wellness guru." And so my wife said, "Hey, we should check this out." And so we found a Russian banya, went, and it was the first time I tried the cold plunge. I was like, whoa, this is fucking crazy. And so that was a pretty pivotal moment because it was just such an amazing date where normally you'd rely on alcohol for a first date and be nervous what I'm going to say, and it was just instantly like, what a great connection. So that moment really helped because from there, my wife and I, every week, we would go to a Russian bathhouse, whether we lived in San Francisco, whether we lived in Berlin, when we were traveling. It was just something, that's why we've been to so many around the world. It became something, a way for us to socialize that wasn't related to alcohol, which was a problem for me prior to that. So I'd say that was huge. The next huge moment was moving back to Toronto about 4 years later. So we've been living in, as I said, San Francisco and Berlin. Come back to Toronto, and was a little bit worried about like what kind of community I was going to be part of, because in Toronto, when I'd lived there, I was really into, drinking and drug use and partying and this kind of stuff. And so the moment was, hey, let's build an ice bath in our backyard. And we called up this ice bath manufacturer, and my partner said, what do you do? Like, I said, hey, I can't afford to like buy one, but I'll fly you up here. You can stay at our house and we'll build one. And they said like, yeah, sure. We've never been to Canada. So they have a company now called Morozko Forge. And so the very first ice bath Othership ever built was a Morozko Forge model. They stayed in my house. They'd never been to Canada. And we built one over 3 days together in the backyard. And that was the first ever like ice bath class. And so that was pretty pivotal, because we had this ice bath in the backyard and we invited 16 people over. 2 of them are my co-founders, and we were kind of working on this together, Amanda and Harry. And so we're sitting in the ice bath, and, it's like, okay, well, who's going to get in? And so everyone's like, fuck, what are we going to do? And Harry's like, I have some ice. I have some essential oils and a bowl, a sound bowl. And I have a picture of this actually in my backyard. And, the first people, we go in the ice bath and we're playing the sound bowl, putting the essential oils, and kind of taking stuff from all these other elements. Like we're combining a lot of elements in the classes, from group therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, prompts.
I was singing once, and
yes.
I never sing, and I was singing there. So I was like,
it's just
that's adding, new.
Yeah, and it's adding, we'll listen to what people ask for and we'll try it. We'll test it. We'll test anything. We'll test an anger release, a gratitude class, a stand-up comedy night in the sauna. Like we'll go to, this is getting off topic and I'll go back, but we'll go to hundreds of immersive experiences. We'll go to museums, we'll go to live concerts, we'll go to live plays in New York. Every week we're trying something. We'll go to magic shows, and we'll see like, hey, what elements here can we bring into a healthy, sober experience? And so that first night was super pivotal, because I tried the ice bath and thought, whoa, this is fucking crazy. Like it's not just before that I was doing the cold plunges, but it was always kind of for health or in a banya. And this was the first time I was like, whoa, you can do emotional work. It's almost like meditation. And so that really opened my eyes to, hey, there's something special here. Fast forward to the garage. Pivotal moment I mentioned was that Valentine's Day, when we're all together and we just started being like, oh, let's try some programming. And there was another, maybe 2 weeks after that, we did a class, and I'm like, okay, let's try we called it a desert storm. And it was 3 saunas back to back, each sauna hotter and hotter, with the last sauna in complete darkness. And so we're in the complete darkness playing a drum. And I'm like, oh, what's everyone struggling with? And people just started kind of screaming, like, I'm struggling with anger. And I'm like looking around like, well, this is fucking nuts. This is like, I've obviously done ayahuasca and some of these other experiences. And I'm like, this is a sober experience where people are having real breakthroughs. And it was just by luck, because we're fucking around, same with the app. We're just kind of fucking around. And these things happened over time. And so I think all those moments led to, hey, there's something special here in the hot and cold that can be class-driven, community-driven, that can make a difference. And we knew from that point, like in that garage, like, hey, there's something special here that like can be shared at a bigger scale.
And I know that also, like, as you were building things up, the community element has been instrumental for you, right? Just the fact that even before you opened the studio, you have managed to gather a huge community. And I think that very much the same thing is happening here in New York. What do you think were the essential elements for you to build up that community?
Yeah, I mean, in New York, it's pretty interesting. Like we were wondering what it's going to be like. And so the first, like totally different city, right? And hey, in Toronto, we had friends that we bootstrapped the network with. And in New York, like very first thing, like let's live the values. So let's bring the community here. And so we got a house in Williamsburg with 10 people, and it's 5 co-founders and 5 teammates. So we're rolling deep. When you're around us, you feel the energy. Like we'll come in, you'll invite one of us to a restaurant and 14 people will show up, and it's like a hip hop group and like a whole entourage, and everyone's bringing this vibe of excitement. Like, okay, it's these small, like we're from small town Canadian kids that are like in the heart of Flatiron building our dream. It's like pretty infectious. So you're kind of like, whoa, Like these people put everything on the line. They've moved to New York. Like I have a baby in the house and a dog, and it's like this is a fucking family business. So I think that was like a really cool starting point of like, hey, this is a family business. Everyone's here to like follow their dream. And then we also do something where we just go hard on invites and inviting friends and inviting friends of friends. And we try to avoid paid ads for the most part, which is pretty unique. So like for 2 months, we were like open, but not really open. And we would just invite people in for free. And I think that's something that most business owners, especially new business owners, don't want to do because it's like, oh, I'm not making any money. When am I going to start making money? And for us, we're like, oh, that's not the point. The point here is that if you come to Othership, person on your left, person on your right, you're probably going to talk to them. And if this person ran a marathon or, works in nutrition or works at a charity or, plays on some kind of athletic team or is a rock climber or a biker, does something, like has a hobby, it's going to improve your experience. And so the way to, kind of select is to have people invite their own friends. And so we just really leaned into having interesting people invite other interesting people. And so by the time we'd open, we already had 4,000 different people in, which is like a insane
It's massive
number to start with. Yeah. And we're already doing like, we opened last week, we're doing 200 people a day, which is a number even in Toronto with the whole backyard setup we didn't hit for 10 months. So I think the New York community, like the vibe in there right now is crazy. It's like electric. It's so good. People are so happy. Everyone's sharing. And it's kind of a weird experience. It's not for everybody. Like there's, as you said, like there's some screaming, there's singing, there's sharing, there's dancing. Like it's a wild place. And so in Toronto, people are a little more reserved. They come in like, whoa, I don't know if this is for me. And, by the 10th time, it's like, yeah, this is definitely for me. And now it's like, hey, share. I'm going to share. Everything is optional. So you don't have to do any of this stuff, which is part of the magic too. It's like, it's not a 2-minute ice bath. It's 10 seconds, whatever you want. You don't have to scream. You don't have to share. You don't have to do anything, but you can. And people by the 10th visit, they're like so down to do these things. But in New York, first visit, people are like, hey, a chance to scream. Everybody, top of their lungs, like, oh. And so I just feel the vibe. People in New York are more social, more willing to try new things. It's a bit of a lonelier place where there's more transplants. So it just feels like the community is ready here in a way that in Toronto took a bit longer to build.
I think it is ready. There's one thing that I would like to emphasize because it seems like for you it was very clear and straightforward that when you decided to open the studio in New York City, you would move here. But not every entrepreneur thinks that way. Was there at least a little bit of hesitation, or it was like crystal clear for you that if you are opening a studio, you are moving over here? Because like you have relocated with your family and co-founders, and you live in that house in Williamsburg. And I feel that there is a great lesson learned for other people that are trying to expand somewhere or build their businesses outside of their home base. And I have done that myself, and I have people asking me about that. But what was your thought process about it?
I mean, we knew we had to, the whole team, and we're even going to stay probably longer than we expected, and we're going to spend a lot more time here than we thought. And one, that's a hospitality business, right? And people want to, the difference you can make as a co-founder being in the space and talking to people, like the story they can tell, So last night somebody was in and she shared during the class, like, hey, I'm 4 years sober. And this was an experience I never thought I could have again, where I was having fun in a social setting. And so I went up to her after and just said, hey, like, this is my journey too. And I want to gift you 2-week unlimited pass. Like, fuck yeah, congrats. And she was like, oh my God, like, are you serious? Like, I can't believe, like, so like those moments, if you do that every day, you can have thousands of those. And those are the connections that people then share. And so being in the space, I mean, the other thing is every unit is new, especially for us. The size is increasing. For us, we just did for the first time a party with this group called Daybreaker, morning party, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And I would have never believed this was even possible in our space. And if I hadn't seen it, all of a sudden there's 3 saxophone players, there's 2 trombone players, there's a fire dancer, there's a magician, there's a DJ, there's like hundreds of people dancing. And I was like, whoa, and if I wasn't here, I couldn't have seen that. And so I think The spaces keep changing in size, and so you have to be on the flow. For New York, we don't have co-ed change rooms. They're completely different. And so how does that work? When people come in, like how do they sit in the tea lounge? This one is completely circular stadium seating. How do they move into the sauna? How do they move into the ice bath? So I think when you're doing something in real life, and you're relatively new, like every studio, every ship for us, it counts. If like there's a miss in the first 10, it can destroy slash really hamper the business. So New York as a market, it's probably our most important market. The studio is our flagship. It's significantly more expensive. It's significantly larger. And so there's just no question that our whole team would live here, like whatever it takes. Like I had done in the first month 50 classes myself in the first like couple weeks, to the point where I was like dehydrated and feeling hungover every morning. But I would just wanted to be in there watching. And I think if you want to build something great, that's the level of detail that's required.
I think it's a great inspiration for others, so they get a sense of how much it takes to build something and really pursue your dreams, because like it's very hard to do something like this or attempt to do that remotely, right? If you are not there, if you are not living and breathing, then it's likely not gonna go well.
Yeah, it's just like what's your level of sacrifice? Like what are you willing to give up? And like for me it's like pretty much everything, So like friends, my only friends are those that I work with because I just don't have time. And so my 5 co-founders are my best friends, and my sister even works for us, and that's who I spend 98% of my time with. Health, I'm not spending too much time working out anymore, which was like a massive passion for me. So mostly like most of my time is with my wife, and like thank God she works with me and we work together because it allows us to maintain a really strong relationship because there's so much commonality there. Like if we didn't work together, it would be tough. So my relationship, my work, and then my son are my most important things. But outside of that, I've given up everything else in my life to do this. And it's I was thinking about it the other day. Like there's times like I want to quit, obviously, because it's just so hard, and we're over budget and delayed, and it's afraid if it's gonna work. And yeah, and I was just like, fuck, I don't know, am I the right person? Can I even do this? And I think back, like, man, there was a year where I like didn't even take a day off, and so it's just the sacrifice to build something amazing is pretty immense.
Where do you take the willpower to do all of that? I know that you have gone through a very transformational experience, and you mentioned that you have been sober for many years. I also quit drinking 4 years ago due to health reasons, and so I can totally relate to that. But what's your source of the willpower to be able to accomplish
I think I
everything?
think it's a mix. So there's different parts of me that have different desires, and like sometimes one desire will take over. So like right now, we've put in a bunch of money into the business, and so like safety, like if this is to go badly, we're kind of all in. And I have a son, and so there's just like, wow, this needs to work. Like otherwise, I'm gonna be bankrupt. And so there's some fear and like safety. So that's one driving force that obviously wasn't there at the start. That's there recently. Um, but at the start, a big one is just making something special and unique. And so just like you mentioned, my passions are transformation. It was changing my life, and I did that through hot, cold, breathwork, community. And so this product is a function of like what worked for me. And so I've never really created anything before. This is kind of the first where I was involved in like building the product and the idea and the brand and everything from scratch. And so there's this feeling of just like, wow, I want to fucking make something that's like the best in the world. And it is, and it's new, and it's something we made. And that feeling of just like pride of going into a class and like, okay, I think we can make these couple things better. I think like, New York is better in this way than Yorkville. There's like sparkling water on tap. There's like the sound system. There's subwoofers in the benches. The classes are new, and just continuously making something better. And then like the joy of like how much hard work that is, and seeing someone's face at how good it can be, is really a powerful motivator. But even that, sometimes I'm like, fuck, who cares? Like, I don't want to do this anymore. So then there's like ego as well of like, okay, we built this thing in Toronto. Like I want to do it in New York. Like, can I do it? The same reason people are crazy. I'm a little crazy. It's just like, I want to test myself. Like I lived in a cave for 8 days in complete darkness. I'm just like, can I do it? Like, I don't really know of any Canadian brands in the health and wellness space that aren't franchised that like started from scratch and came to New York and crushed it. And I was just, everyone's like, you're not gonna make it. Like that's what people were like, oh, are you sure? And so it was just like, from an ego standpoint, like, can I fucking do this? I want to see. So there's like sometimes that, sometimes just being so proud of what we're building, sometimes being scared about financials and like this has to succeed. So it's a mix, and like some days one really resonates and some days others don't. Some days I'm like, fuck, I wish I just never did this at all. So it's hardcore.
Do you feel like New York is one of the toughest markets where you could possibly open?
I think
just to test out the concept.
In some ways the demand is here. So if you build something great, like the people will come. So that's amazing. But in other ways, it's just really expensive. Like it's so expensive, in comparison to any other city in the US, it's like one of the most expensive places you can build. And then for a bathhouse specifically, the code is quite intense. And that's not something we realized in advance. So we ran into a ton of problems with construction. So just what the consumer expects is much more refined than in many places because the level of service and what's available is so high. You're also competing against like every Broadway show and movie and production and restaurant. And so like the best of the best in the entire world is here. So just the margin for error is much smaller. So like your risk is much higher. Like if you were starting a new concept, like chain places don't even bother in New York. They'll start in like Houston or Texas or somewhere where the customer is more lenient, it's cheaper. However, if you open something truly unique and great, New York is the best city to open in. And yeah, we had all these fuck ups and it was super hard and like my hair's falling out and I was crying and I wanted to quit, but now we're open. And like, already today we had more people than either Toronto location, and it's July and a heat wave and we've been open 6 days. So it's like, once you're open and if you rip it in New York, from a brand perspective, like everybody's here. People are talking about it. Celebrities are coming in. Like it's fucking, it's like, I saw something the other day where somebody was like, yeah, she was from Brooklyn. She's just like, yeah, Brooklyn's the coolest place in the world. Like people are like in Berlin and saying, oh, that's the Brooklyn of Berlin. And it's because nobody's like saying, oh, Brooklyn's the X of somewhere else. It's fucking Brooklyn, So it's just like New York is, to me, the coolest place in the world. So now I think it's really hard and it's really risky, but if you make it, like fuck yeah. So
you mentioned that it's extremely expensive to build it out here. So I assume you had to convince a lot of investors to gather all the necessary resources. What was the process of going through that from the very beginning, even with the locations in Toronto? So because you were bringing something very new, right? So how do you convince investors to put their money down into a relatively new thing?
Yeah, it was almost impossible, like to get started. People were like laughing in my face, like, "What are you talking about? Like, you're sending me pictures of a fucking horse trough in your backyard, And so we had to self-fund the first one and kind of show like, hey, we have traction in this garage. There's something special here. And then, between me and my 5 co-founders, we just were like, yeah, we believe in it. So we signed a lease in COVID, which is also like crazy. Like when the first vaccine came out, we saw a good deal because a lot of stuff was closing down. We took it and we're like, going to build. And people were like, yo, are you guys sure? Like, this is crazy. I remember like the first piece of PR in the comments, people were like, this is disgusting. No one will ever group sauna ever again. Like sauna culture is dead. Like you guys are bozos. And I was like, whoa. Okay. So we built that first one. And then right when that first one was open, it was just like pretty clear that there was something special. There was 3-week wait lists for classes. What people were saying, like there was instantly hundreds of reviews, like 5-star. So it just was like, whoa, this is different. And so luckily, one of our investors came, our lead investor, it was the reason we actually came to New York. And he just said, hey, this is like, I've never experienced something like this. And he's like, I've done CrossFit. I was a big CrossFitter. I've done boutique fitness. I've been to Barry's. I love Barry's. I've seen consumer brands. He's like, I've never seen anything like this. And he's like, this doesn't exist. You need to go. Like once, it's kind of interesting too, because once you do it, it's like so obvious. It's like an experience where you go and you're like, oh my God, of course you would do this in the sauna. There's no phones. Like everybody's together. Like this is an amazing place to see a performance. And so it was something that's like kind of a secret that we stumbled onto, but then is obvious once you do it. And he was just like, if you want to be the person who builds this brand, you should go. I've kind of changed my mind about how fast we needed to go, but at that time I was like, we need to go fast. Yeah, you're right. And so also though, the business was really profitable. So I was like, God, do I really want to do this? Like it's signing up for so much stress. But part of me was like, yeah, I have a really good life. And part of me was like, no, let's fucking go for it, you know? And so he offered to invest at like a really positive valuation for us. And then I had to take that and, you know, he put up half the money of the $8 million, and then I needed to raise the other 4, and it took hundreds of conversations and lots of no's, and it was tough. And people were like, you know, he invested because he'd been in Toronto and he knew me, and we'd worked together in crypto, and he had just had deep trust in like my skills and our team's skills as an entrepreneur, our passion. But if you're talking to a stranger that lives in LA, like, you know, like who the fuck are you guys from Toronto, like building a wellness thing? Like, what are you talking about? You know, like hot, cold, like what even is that? So like I would go onto calls and people would be like, this is a joke. Like this is never going to work. Like, and I'd show like, look at the numbers, like they're amazing. And still, you know, so, and that was tough because I believed so much in the product and I loved it so much. And I would do 14 meetings a day, like just drink coffee and then do 14 pitches. And I'd do that for like 6 weeks. And, to get so many no's, it makes you question, like, is this business good? Is it like a scalable model? Is it going to work? But you know, we just persevered and closed the money, and now have investors like every week reaching out, like, oh,
Knocking on the
please.
door.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a completely different story. Now that we're in New York, it's even more like one reaches out every day. And so it's just a different vibe, but it was so hard to build something new and get started, and it can shake your confidence a lot.
And I feel like they can also come to test it out themselves, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was a big thing. Like it's something you have to experience, and most people, like, also, you know, 3 years ago when we did the Series A, people don't even know what an ice bath is. You know, like, oh, we've seen Wim Hof, it's a weird thing I've heard about on Instagram. Now it's like it's not really an ice bath anymore. It's like, hey, that's like exercise. Like contrast therapy is kind of it continues to grow, but in 10 years it'll just be something, you know, like yoga was a weird thing when I was young, and people are like, oh, what, yoga? Now, like, of course, yoga. Like, it's obvious, you know, and so this will be the same as that.
So what do you think is going to happen with the space? Because there's not many competitors that you would have at this point, right? But it's a growing trend, and I think that the whole wellness space is up for a disruption. How do you see the future of what's going to be happening?
Yeah, I mean, I feel wellness in general will just continue to grow like pretty exponentially. And so the focus will move from fitness, which will also continue to grow, just to general health. Like people want to feel good. And there's just a ton of science around this stuff. And it's becoming almost cool to be healthy. Whereas like in my 20s, you know, drinking, partying, like fashion, that stuff was like cool. And now a lot of 20, 25-year-olds come into Othership because that's cool to like take care of your mental health. So I think culture has shifted and wellness is playing a bigger part in culture. So that's like the broader picture. I think people want to drink less alcohol, you know, due to like wearables, podcasts, like it's just become obvious how bad alcohol is for you. And there's a lot of people that want to perform and feel good. And so I think there's a mega trend of like, what do you do if you're not drinking alcohol? And so to me, the future is that like people will be looking for entertainment, in-person connection that's not based on alcohol. And I think you'll see, you know, Equinox, all these major gyms will have sauna cold plunge. You're already kind of seeing it with like Lifetime. They have some in some Equinoxes. There's 2 similar places in Toronto that have opened that are similar to Othership. So there just will be many, many, many. Like I think it will be very common, like in Finland, where there's more saunas than people. And so I see every hotel will have hot, cold. You might see it in co-working places. It'll be in all spas. There'll just be many, many, many places to use these services, and it will become normal. And I just also think the demand will 10, 50, 100x what it is now.
What is your appetite now that you know, you have taken the hard decision to move over to New York and open a studio here, and it seems like it's all going well. Not without some struggles, of course. But what is your appetite going forward? You are working on another studio in Williamsburg, and
Yeah, so we have the one in
where do you see yourself headed after?
yeah, I mean, I think we can build 10 just in Manhattan and Brooklyn, like no problem in terms of demand. And so the plan is to make New York our home base and to add one every 6, 9 months, a year, something like that. But to really build out in New York because the customer for us is here. I think expansion into New Jersey, Boston, Washington, Chicago, Philadelphia would be possible. I think that definitely like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Miami, all of these places can support hot cold studios. And what makes us different, we're trying to be a bit larger. So we can have 250-person DJ parties. So we can have comedy nights with comedians, So I think the more elevated the product is, the harder it is to copy. And so I see a place where there's a number of in-person studios, 50, 100 over a 20-year period. There's an app that then ties them together. And so this is where, I'm looking forward to working
Some
with you
synergies
in the future. But I would really like, you move to a city, you don't know many people, you belong in the Othership community, you join, you get grouped with other people, you meet them, you then use the space together, you can connect with them on the app, you can share stats, you can have channels, you can chat, we can have dating nights and parties. And then, I would love to see like a retreat also. So maybe you get grouped in with your 20 people at Othership that you come to Othership with every week, and then you all go on retreat together. Maybe we build a retreat, maybe we partner. We probably started off the same way we started off the app, where we like partner with the retreat center and send people there, and then eventually have an Othership retreat. But I would love it if in the person's life in these cities, you go to Othership weekly, use the app daily, meet your friends through it, go to a retreat once a year that's like super fun to do a bit of deeper work, and then have these cohorts. Maybe you have something like Zoom in an app where the 10 people you talk through in a group therapy style once a week as well. So it's once in person, once on the app. So I see a world in which we can reduce loneliness and help people just feel better. And that's a 20-year vision. For now, it's just building more spaces, but that would be the full vision realized, is that this can become something that allows you to make behavioral change or like transformation with a group of friends that are also interested in those values.
It's a very big vision, and I like it. And like for me, the socials that you do are probably like the pinnacle. I like all different types
Yeah.
of classes that you
Yeah.
have, but the socials, to me, that's something that I have been craving for a long time. Because like if you don't drink, you probably don't want to go to a bar
Yeah.
to talk to other drunk people. But this is such a fun way to spend your whatever Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and you meet like-minded people, and so I feel like this element and the fact that I was talking about it earlier, right? For me, singing during one of the sessions was something like totally new, like, and it releases some of the emotions, and then very similarly to that, dancing in a sauna is something that you also don't typically do, right? Um, I come from Europe, and it's very common to go to saunas there, but like dancing in a sauna, not really happening. And to me, that opens up a whole lot of new possibilities, emotions, etc. And like even hearing about your grand vision, how it all connects together, I think that you are certainly onto something.
Yeah, I think what we haven't figured out yet, which would be interesting, and like again, there's just so much going on. We're just trying to improve the app, we're trying to improve the spaces, we're trying to launch more of them. But like one thing I've noticed, if you come and you make friends, you're like way more part of the community, and you have a deeper affinity for the brand. But it's still hard. Like you end of the day, you're meeting strangers, and so our space is much easier than with alcohol. We have conversation cards, we have a whole bunch of games that people play to kind of connect and like meet strangers. But if there was a digital component that everyone was a part of and it somehow matched you with other like-minded people, or you could see, like, it'd be so great if you walked around and I could look at you and just see like meditation, running. Here's like the 5 questions to ask me, but I can't because I'm just seeing you and it's like, hey man, what's up? But so if there was some way digitally we could have profiles and then match people. And then that way, for all the people at Othership who are really interested in running, they go Tuesday night at 9 p.m. and there's like a running chat or something. So I don't know how to do that, but I know if there's a way to, like, if you knew something about the 100 people at the social and there was 4 people that were perfect matches for you to talk to about meditation,
Yeah.
and it somehow surfaced that for you and like created a chat, it would be fucking incredible. And so that's what I'm thinking about, how I don't know how to do it now, but that would be like the end version, is like it's a way to introduce you to more people that are like-minded to become friends, and then a space to become friends in. I've never seen anything really like that before. So that's kind of I think, something we'd like to work towards.
Oh, I think that there is certainly a way to do that. Yeah, let's see where it leads. What's been your biggest lesson learned on this journey? If you should name one.
There's like so many, but the one that's most present right now is just, we were talking, the New York build was 2.5 times the Toronto, our last Toronto build. There's no world in which I thought that was even possible. The amount of stress and strain that's caused, just showed I'm over optimistic, although I didn't think I was. And so I'm so passionate about the product, and the first unit did so well, and the second unit is doing so well also. But when we're raising money, it's around, you're baselining off performance. And so that unit did like 2.5 times the sales, 2 times the profits. We're like, I can't even believe this is happening. And so we made decisions 2 years ago. And now those decisions, opening a second in Toronto, a third in New York, a fourth in New York, all at once, like I was just way fucking off, like on the budget by 2 times. And, there's another one we're building now, and the timelines I was off significantly. And so it's put myself under just and our teammates under an enormous amount of strain and pressure. And so I think the lesson learned is like, decisions you make have extremely long-term consequences, and certain ones about like leases and builds. And so I went from like optimistic, like, oh, fuck yeah, to like very determined and realistic about what this takes. And so the vision I shared with you, I don't even really talk about that anymore, because I'm just like, okay, like we need to get our build costs down and prove that this is working. So, the lesson is just, when you're building a big company and scaling, like, there's just no way to avoid mistakes, and they're going to be extremely costly. And I think I underestimated that a lot.
Is there anything as part of your daily routine that keeps you in check and able to cope with all the amount of stress that you have going through this?
I'm honestly not really a believer in daily routines anymore. I used to have like the craziest like 3-hour morning routine, and now it's just about getting the work done. And so it's like, what is my priority, and like just attacking it head on. And so
just go with the flow.
Not necessarily go with the flow, because you have to make the flow happen as well. But yeah, it's just been super much harder than I expected, with how many complaints we get from customers. We see 1,000 people plus a day. Like, yeah, 5 of them aren't going to be happy. We've got a ton of employees. There's construction teams, 40 people across each build. Like, there's just so many potential issues. And I watched this Elon Musk video where he talks about entrepreneurship the other day, and he was just saying it's like staring into the abyss and eating glass. And staring into the abyss is like 99% of startups fail. So you're just kind of always like, yeah, I'm more than likely to fail. And then the eating glass is like, as the CEO, you're just dealing with the shittiest problems. Like, they come to you from all these places, and I had no idea how many there would be. So that's definitely a learning. That's just what it takes again. So,
do you have any?
Yeah, so he asked me about routines, and so, yeah, I mean, I use Othership 4 times a week minimum. And so when I'm like super stressed, which I am almost every day now, because I wasn't expecting to deal with so much interpersonal conflict, it's like I'm armored all day long, and because it's just conflict and people coming to you with problems. So you're just like, and you run a pretty big company too, so you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people. It's like conflict. So the thing I do now is like I cold plunge, and it's just easy. Like, I workouts an hour, cold plunge. I just get in, I feel better instantly, and like de-stress. I'm around people, and so I'm spending time with my wife and my son, and then also just going to Othership are like my only two health habits right now.
Those are great habits for sure. And one other thing that I wanted to also ask you about is you mentioned that you have visited nearly 100 different bathhouses all over the world. But do you have some special sources where you tap into inspiration right now? Because it seems like for this particular element, you have seen it all, but there is also a lot of other things that you can explore. So how do you keep your creative spirit up for the future?
Yeah, there's trying like many. So there's people that create from scratch, and that's not me. That's my partner Harry and Amanda, and they're like, we'll sit down, create a breath work. I'm more of a curator to come up with ideas. That's why we work so well together because I know when something is special, and so my superpower is trying all these things. Dark retreat, different trip, fasting for 48 hours, magic show. So in New York, I'll try as many experiences as possible. Weird stuff. Like I found this amazing thing called Gaia Music.
Now we got into interesting topic. I want to hear about all the weird things that you have tried.
Yeah, so just one was this Gaia Music Collective, and it was in a church, basement of a church, and like 300 people showed up. No food or water or anything. Everyone paid $30, and there's 300 people just in a circle, no speakers, like one little tiny thing to play music, and you learn to sing a song with sheet music, and everyone sings together. And I just saw this and was like, well, this is crazy. Like the amount of energy, the amount of people, you can just feel there's something special. So like what from that can we be inspired by? Like the group singing also comes from church, from choir. Like when you resonate with other voices, you feel connected. So, we've added elements of group singing. And so anything like that where there's energy around it, I'll go try it. And it's about curating, museums, immersive art experiences, plays, and just trying, things like Burning Man, which obviously now is more people know about it, but what can we try? And then what can we curate and learn? Even like connection events. Like I recently did something called Tea Group, which started in San Francisco, which is this practice of like looking a group of people like directly in the eye and then sharing exactly what you're thinking, even if it's negative about them. And it's like pretty hardcore process. And so I think creation comes from being around many, 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 many ideas and then pulling and like remixing them together. And that's like a lot of Othership came from that.
So trying all the things out there.
Yeah, and the ones now I'm most excited about, which I mentioned, is not really hot cold at this moment. It's more connection. So what kind of events are people doing that are connecting each other, for corporates, at concerts, in therapy? There's this person named Jessica Ensel who does this amazing like connection event. And so can I try hundreds of these and see what exercises would align with what we're doing?
It's a great inspiration. I have done the looking in the eyes, and already that makes me a bit uncomfortable. And then saying the thoughts as they come up, that's a different level.
It's there was an amazing facilitator who came and led our team through it, and it's like so awkward. Like even the thought of it was uncomfortable. So it's but yeah, that's where you find the juice. Like what of that can be taken and kind of massaged a bit for a larger audience. So I really believe that trying a lot of things is important for at least one person on the team is bringing the ideas. We had an idea. I saw Kanye West did had Sunday service, which was like a giant group choir. Like, oh, that's so cool. And I was like, just telling Harry, like, I wonder if we could do something like that, but outside and, with breathwork involved too. And so Harry went and, okay, there's the idea. And so he created a 3-hour guided breathwork track to drumming. And so we had a friend bring like 20 djembes around a fire, and we played the breathwork track, and like we're drumming to get into a trance while also breathing. And so combining a bunch of stuff from that Kanye West idea. And it was awesome. It was like one of the best experiences I've had at Othership, just outside. And so, I think if we never saw that, would never have that idea, would never try something new. So it's really having a willingness to like explore and then kind of meld and test.
Do you ever try doing pop-ups or participate at some of the events outside of your studios?
Yeah, we've done tons. Like actually, one of the ways we built the New York community before the house, we would do underground breathwork concerts, and so we would have musicians come in and guide live breathwork to music, like similar to on our app, and like groups of 100 people, and kind of have group share as part of it. And so we'll definitely do pop-ups all the time. That actually, funny enough, that drumming breathwork turned into the idea for a dancing breathwork, which turned into a 1,000-person outdoor festival dance party breathwork that we threw in Toronto that we're going to throw again in October. And so sometimes these little seeds will grow into bigger and bigger products.
Events,
yeah,
bigger undertakings. That's it for the episode with Othership and Robbie. I hope you have enjoyed it because I did quite a lot. And give a look to their physical spaces as well as the digital product. I can't wait to be back in their studio soon.